Okay, so I'm finally back with another video. Apologies if it's loud, I am walking by the roadside, so I can't guarantee the audio is going to be great for this whole duration. I think it's like a 22 or so minute video, so I'm going to try and just yap for that long. Currently in LA, so I'm just walking back. I've been to the gym, walking back to Kyle. I'm staying with him, so Kyle's actually featured in 2 of my videos before. When I was sprinting, I think back in, I want to say it was maybe the video I uploaded at the start of this year. He was in that one, and then he was in one that was like back in April of last year, or like May of last year probably. So yeah, finally back to see him. Is good to see him. Shout out to him for letting me stay. Can't remember if I said that yet or not. Maybe I've just repeated myself. I've got short-term memory loss, probably from this short attention span. I feel like if TikTok and Instagram wasn't a thing, I would probably have a longer attention span, but that's just not the case really, is it? So, is what it is. But yeah, so training at this time really just consisted of like rehab work. I was doing a lot of slow strength for the knees, for the calves, for the distal hamstring tendinopathy that I had as well. So yeah, that was sort of the main focus. I guess I can go over each injury a bit more in depth. I also have another injury now that I'm not going to really cover in this video because it's not as relevant to this video. But yeah, the biggest injury was the knee, and that still seems to sort of be an issue, unfortunately. The knee pain's been around for, I want to say, at least since like last year, like October, and then I didn't really pay attention to it. I just focused on trying to train for my season, but then at that point it was just like too much. I flared up my knee, my Achilles, hamstring were both also cooked by that point, and then I'm sort of in this place I am now because of all of that. I think all of the injuries have sort of like played into each other and just made it hard to recover because I have so many, because I just trained like a jackass for too long, which is not smart. I didn't really focus on building qualities that I should have been focusing on, and yeah, just don't copy what I did for the last 2 or so years, where I just trained through these small overuse injuries which ended up sort of shooting myself in the foot proverbially. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So with the knee, I think what's prevented that from healing for so long is just pushing intensities too soon that my knee isn't really capable of handling. So big one was just increasing the jump intensity too soon. So with the box jumps, you'll probably be able to see from like last video, even in this video, I reintroduced the box jumps. I do like a 24-inch jump first, then maybe like 30, then 33, and it's just like too much too soon. And I think that's been my main issues that have came about just from increasing that intensity just too soon, too much too soon. If maybe I'd said, right, we'll stick with like 24 inches for 1 week, then go to like 30 inches for 1 week, maybe something along those lines would have actually worked a lot better. But that's just kind of where I'm at with things. It is what it is. There's not much I can really do about stuff in the past. I can only try and learn from my mistakes, and I think that's like an important lesson, is if it's something that goes wrong, then you can always sort of learn from your mistakes. So there's someone like shouting on the phone. I got kind of distracted from my point. But yeah, if you kind of make a mistake, the main thing is trying to learn from the mistake and implement that in the future. And I can't really say I've been doing that well, at least over the last few months of training. I think I've just been too eager to get back to it. I think that's the hardest thing about rehab training, is it is just very boring, and I feel like I just want to be right back to doing more sprints, more jumps, just the exciting fun stuff that I enjoy doing in training. Like rehab training is like slow strength, really, really boring, and it's not really what I want to be doing. And I think that's kind of why. So you have to really delay that, I guess, that gratification of doing those more exciting things in training. And that's what I've probably struggled with, I guess, over the last sort of year. And it's something that I've always had an issue with in training. I think part of it does stem from just a fear of like losing losing all that I have like built over the years, even though in reality that's not going to be the case. I mentioned this last video, I remember, but I feel like it's a point that I need to like drive home. And I think if these videos can do anything for anyone, it's just going to be a case of like teaching people lessons, showing people the issues that I go through, and hopefully people can pick up on it and learn and do better than what I have. That's always a goal. Hopefully I'm inspiring people as well to keep going, because you know, God knows I've been through so many injuries and everything, but I just keep showing up, and that's the secret. I said that last video, I'll say it again, the secret is just being consistent. There's no magic bullet training program. I mean, there's steroids, you still need to work hard if you're on steroids, but yeah, there's no magic bullet really that's gonna make you better just without lifting a finger. You still have to put the work in, and put the work in an intelligent manner that's going to lend its hand towards long-term athletic development. LTAD, it's a big word, something you can read up on. I remember reading a great Dan Back article, Mr. Jump Science, Dan Back, shout out to him. He's someone that I based a lot of my early training around. I liked his concept of lifting heavy and then kind of easing off and reaping the rewards from just not really lifting at all and just doing athletic stuff. You get that sort of super compensation in performance, and it just helps out a lot. So shout out to him. He's a great website. If you don't have a coach, or if you think your coach is incompetent and you know better, then he's a great resource to check out. He's got some gold mine. There's a gold mine on his website of just articles, so I'd highly recommend that if you're someone that looks to, you know, develop your own program, or even just try and apply some of his concepts to your own training. I think it has a lot of merit to it, and yes, a resource I would recommend. Same with like the THP strength videos. They're another great thing. Obviously I didn't have those back when I was a youngling training, but now of course those are out there, so they're a great resource as well that's going to help with people's training and with people's knowledge on training. And those are things that are something that's super valuable. It's just knowing stuff before going into it. I think that's another pitfall that I fell into, was just not really knowing enough about even just like fueling up for training. Like, a big part of injuries is nutrition. If you're not eating enough, if you're not sleeping well enough, these things are going to contribute to injury. So it's something that's always wise to really read up on. Anyway, I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but knee pain. So yeah, it was like pushing intensities up too soon as well in the weight room. So I was going a bit too heavy on quarter squats. I think I worked up to like 425 for 8 reps slow, and that was just not really a wise decision. I regret going so heavy so soon, but it's something that I did, and I think that prolonged the rehab process, or has continued to prolong the rehab process. I'm still not really over the hill with this injury just yet. I'm confident that within the space of maybe like, I don't know, 1 month, like by July, I'm hoping that I'll be sort of over the hill with it. Maybe not fully, I'll probably still be in some capacity of rehab training, but at least I want to be 90% sort of done and like back to doing some more exciting, just different exercises than quarter squats, some calf work, some hamstring work. I just want to be doing a bit more that's going to really, you know, push the needle maybe more. Who knows? But yeah, that's sort of the knee. So then with the hamstring, so the issue with that was it was a distal hamstring tendinopathy. Quite a rare injury from my understanding. I couldn't really find many people that had experienced the same thing. John was thinking, I was obviously with John last week, and when I spoke to him about the injury, he was thinking it was maybe something that was more like the tendons like crossing over weird or something, because it's like really down by the gastrocnemius. And as I mentioned in this video actually, and I think I also mentioned in the last video, a lot of my videos kind of bleed into each other, I think, because the topics are always very similar. But as I mentioned in the last video, if I dorsiflexed my ankle, I would find that the hamstring would just feel instantly better. Like there would be no pain when doing the hamstring curls, when just doing sort of any hamstring exercise. I think even the isometrics, like it kind of decreases the pain that I would experience if I wasn't dorsiflexing the foot. So that was something that I found interesting, and John was saying maybe it's to do with the gastrocnemius. Obviously when I'm dorsiflexing my ankle, I'm sort of contracting that calf muscle, and that is contributing maybe somewhere down the line. That's obviously helping ease the pain from the exercise that I'm doing, from the hamstring curls. And I found that just doing them very slow helped a lot. Again, that's another injury. It's taken sort of a while to heal up. I would say it's like 90% better. Like I was able to sprint on it, which I've now had to take sprints out because I've had another mystery injury that, as I say, next video I will discuss more in depth because it's more relevant to that video. But yeah, so with the hamstring, so I'm walking through a tree there, I just got like hit by a bunch of pine needles that made me lose my track, my focus. So yeah, I found that slow strength for that injury helped a lot. I was a little bit scared initially when this injury first sort of came about, because I sort of read into it on the sprinting subreddit. Someone said they had to like quit sprinting because they had this like pain that just wasn't going away. And I think that's probably a benefit of all these injuries taking so long, is that I'm really getting a full rest from sprinting. And I think in the long run this is really going to help out, at least for like next season. I don't want to fully submit just yet, but I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to be sprinting in competition, at least for the rest of this season. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like there's not much I can really do about it. I just have to listen to my body. If my body says I can compete by the time I get around to like September, like middle of September would be the last time that I would, or like my last chance to really get a good quality competition. So if I can get healthy and get a good run, then I'll do it by then. But if I'm not in a state where I think it's wise to run, like if it's going to be something that's going to be counterproductive in terms of just running a slow time, like if I run anything less than like, I'd honestly say like sub 11 in the first meet, then I'd class that as like a failure and like not even really worth my time. Because I want the meet, if I open up that at that point of the season that late, I want the meet to be something that's going to instill some sort of confidence in me, so that I can then build off that for next season and get sort of a jump on it essentially. So I sometimes think there's like merit in taking a longer break. So I think if that's the case, I'll just focus on next season, focus on indoors, open up, get a few good competitions in, and then focus on outdoors. So that would be the plan. I could even open up earlier. I'd maybe have the luxury of, say, opening up in kind of December sort of time, and then that means I can then finish my season maybe February, and like early February, and then be ready to go and compete outdoors, get a solid 8 weeks of training for next season. So that's kind of the rough sort of plans I have in my head currently for training. And if things don't work out, there's always ways that you can pivot and go off of a positive. Because the other thing as well is I've not competed obviously since February. If I don't do outdoors at all, that's going to mean that essentially I'm going to have like 10 months of not competing. So this is going to be more of a novel stimulus, competing again, right? It's going to give me probably a similar vibe to how I would feel during like my first competition. Probably not quite the same as my first competition, because that was an insane, I don't think you can really replicate, or I don't think I can really replicate how that felt. It was just a crazy adrenaline rush that almost lasted from like the night before all the way through to the competition day, the end of the competition day. So I don't know if I can quite replicate that, but I think I can certainly get close by being less used to it when I obviously end up competing, you know, later in the season. So there's always positives, as I say, and it's something you've got to think about. So then the next injury that I didn't discuss was the Achilles. So my Achilles came about in February. So February is when my knee, my Achilles and my hamstring all seem to just sprout up with issues. Not ideal, but just what happened. There's not really much, as I say, I can do currently about it. Maybe proactively I could have done some things better, made some better decisions, but that's just what ends up happening. You can't really predict these things sometimes. It just happens, right? That's sports. That's like high performance sport. Expect the unexpected, I guess. So yeah, the Achilles came about, did a lot of like isometrics and slow strength. That seemed to fix the issues so far, knock on wood. There was the trip that I did to New York earlier in the video. That did seem to flare it up like a good bit. Like I experienced more pain after that, maybe only a small spike. It maybe went to like a 2 out of 10 instead of the 1 out of 10. It did get to a point where I was experiencing pain getting up sort of in the morning, and I'd sort of get up and it would be like tight feeling. I'd say the worst pain level I had was maybe like a 4 out of 10. Like I could walk on it, but it would be very stiff in the morning, like 4 out of 10. And then once I kind of got used to the pain, it would probably go down to like a 2, maybe 3 out of 10 at most. But it never really was at a point where it felt like really, really bad, which is a good thing. I think I managed that injury very well, and so far so good. Like there's not been any more incidents of my Achilles flaring up, and I have done some big step count days since then as well. I think I did a good few thousand steps back in May at some point. So obviously I went to New York, that was like the end of April, and then I think May I kind of did some more steps and didn't feel any issues with that, so that was good. Positives to take away: I think that injury, knock on wood, is behind me for the most part, at least. I obviously, knock on wood, want to be extra cautious with things because you never know what will happen, what could happen. But yeah, that's kind of all the injuries. The training is very boring, so nothing really too exciting as it pertains to training, at least. Just rehab work, a lot of drops, a lot of jumps. The one good thing is my upper body's been feeling strong. Like the overhead press that I did with 135 for 4 was very nice. I've never been that strong in upper body, never really trained it because I've always just enjoyed training for athleticism, for better leg development, essentially. More power, more speed, that's always sort of the goal for me, is just generally more athletic in whatever aspect, I guess. Overhead throws, jumps, sprints, that's the focus, is on those metrics and not so much like weight room stuff. I guess like a nice power clean, nice power snatch or something is also nice, but the main focus is, as I say, on athleticism and I guess like body weight athletics. I don't know, I'm just kind of yapping and rambling at this point a little bit, but yeah, so upper body was feeling good. Weighted pull-ups as well. I think I did like 25 pounds on the weighted pull-up, obviously not including the belt, because the belt's kind of probably only really maybe 2 pounds, so like 27 pounds I guess I could say of like added resistance. So nothing crazy, but I'm quite happy with it, quite proud of it, considering I've always been very skinny and not really had a great upper body. So that's nice. And yeah, bench has like not been amazing, but I've not really been working on it as much as I had sort of prior to winter break. I'd done a lot of work at that point, got to 93 kilos. Recently, estimating it off a set that I did, I think I probably was at about 90, maybe like 93 kilos still. So I've like maintained strength quite well. Just the main issue is that I've not been doing it as much. It's been like less frequent, but I do sort of want to focus a bit more on it because I can't do lower body stuff currently, really. I mean, I can do rehab stuff at the moment, but that's it. There's nothing more exciting. So maybe I should just push intensity on bench, go for like a 2-plate bench, something fun in the meantime, and then I can focus back onto sprints when I'm ready. As I say, like ideally, I really want to be able to sprint and do some more athletic stuff by the start of July I'm going up to Aberdeen then, and I want to be able to like run on this like track that's near my mum's hometown, just because it's always cool to try out like new tracks. So that's kind of the goal that I have at the moment. I'm not really sure where my body's going to be at by that point. I don't know if I'll actually be sort of recovered from all the small issues. I'm hoping I will be though. That's sort of the main focus with training at the moment, and I think it's doable, but I just have to sort of wait and see. If my body gives me the green light, then it gives me the green light. A lot of my training, I think, in the coming weeks is going to be focusing more on just rebuilding sprint capacities. So I think I'm doing a lot of dribble runs at the moment, which you will see in maybe in the next video, or potentially in the next video after that. Doing a lot of dribble runs and some like sprint drills, just to sort of try and start to build back into things. I think another week of dribble runs next week, and then I can maybe start doing some 75% effort sprints over 30 meters, and then I'll just maybe add 5% each week till I can build back up to 100%. But I'll play it sort of like play it by ear, as they say, and that will help me decide if I can progress or if I need to sort of regress, peg things back a little bit. But certainly currently that's going to be the plays, so I will just have to wait and see how the body feels. Like, I can progress faster if my body allows. If it doesn't, you have to know when to hold them, as they would say. And that's kind of essentially it in terms of the play-by-play for my training going forward, and just for everything in general. So hopefully this audio is actually usable. I think I've sort of covered everything that I really need to cover for this video. I don't think there's anything that I've kind of missed. Touched upon most bases, so hopefully this is coherent and it's not too loud in the background, because I think at times it might have been a bit loud, because obviously there's like loads of cars going by, and yeah, that's sort of it. So I appreciate everyone watching the video, staying along with the journey. 10.6 is coming. I just don't know when. Potentially probably next season, honestly. That's it. I think it's doable next season. I'm now sort of in a better place mentally, and I think I know what I need to do to execute. So appreciate everyone watching, and I shall see you in the next one.